Hi, I'm LadyJenevia. Happy Dickinson premiere day. Now that season 2 has kicked off and I have already posted my spoiler review of the first 3 episodes that have aired, I am back to offer up a sort of spoiler-free review of episode 4, which is titled The Daisy Follows Soft the Sun. Pay attention to that episode title, by the way.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
I'm going to keep it really brief because I don't want to spoil things, and to be honest, a lot of this video is just going to further discuss the show in its entirety to contextualize the build-up to this episode so that when you watch episode 4, you will hopefully better understand the material you are going to see. In rewatching this episode and looking at it as an isolated, standalone story that the fans are going to see and reflect on for a week, it was interesting to see how probing it is into the characters. Some episodes this season have these big bombshell moments, and others are ones that explore more deeply into the thoughts and feelings of this ensemble of characters. If we look back to season 2, episode 2, we got this story about a baking contest, which if you've already seen my spoiler review of the season 2 premiere, you will have heard me talk about how it was a vehicle for the writers to address the culture of fame, the way that it can be fickle and it can change the people around you and how they interact with you. We're not meant to watch that episode and get invested in whether or not Emily Dickinson is going to start competing in baking contests on a regular basis. Then we got to season 2, episode 3, and we had a seance, which created a big spectacle, but it wasn't so much about the literal supernatural things going on as it was about exploring Emily's uncertainty about fame because of the way the people around her were behaving in episode 2 after she won the baking contest and whether or not she wants to pursue fame. First and foremost, she wants to get her poems published. That was the big arc across season 1, and her father was one of the biggest obstacles standing in her way.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Trash.
And through that premiere, we were getting her to understand that once she gets her poems out there, she can become famous. Does she want to deal with the negative side of that? Is that ultimately worth having her work be remembered? And she finally decides yes, and that's why she goes to Sue's place at the end of episode 3 and shares that decision. Episode 4 is very much following the same pattern of the way episode 2 snowballed into episode 3. Episode 3 similarly snowballs into episode 4. I think it's worth rewatching these season 2 premiere episodes if you're really into the show and want to dig deeper into the layers of the themes of the writing and the emotional arcs of the ensemble of lead characters. It helps you to understand episode 4 if you have those first 3 episodes fresh in your mind. Dickinson has switched from its airing model in season 1 of dropping the entire season at once to a weekly schedule, so if you're only watching these episodes and not giving it your undivided attention, I don't think you're fully going to understand not just episode 4, but a lot of the episodes that are going to be airing this season. The way the show has been written is very much serialized storytelling, for those who don't know what I mean by that. When it comes to television shows, you can have procedural storytelling or serialized storytelling. A procedural would be something like the CSI franchise, where every episode is its own case, and for the most part, you could pick any episode of CSI, watch it, and be able to follow what's happening without having kept up with the show consistently. Dickinson is serialized storytelling, so if you were to just pick out season 2, episode 4, and not watch anything else, you could be entertained to a certain degree, but there's a lot of layers and nuance that you would be missing because things that are written into this specific episode are building off of what has happened already in the show. Also, since it's only 10 episodes per season, there isn't really any filler, so if something is happening on screen when you're watching a Dickinson episode, it's there for a reason. If you don't know the reason, that probably means you haven't seen what that material is building up to just yet. One of the many things I enjoy about Dickinson as a show is the way it uses music. It tends to enhance the anachronistic style of the show, but music is also something that can do a lot to shape the emotional tone and atmosphere of a scene. There's a song that gets used in season 2, episode 4 that I'm going to share now, so you will be able to add it to your playlists early, and you can just vibe and enjoy how it plays once the episode airs. It's called Lost by Jai Wolf featuring Chelsea Jade. I'll also link it in the description box if you're not sure what I said or how to spell it. If you feel like this video is a whole lot of nothing, sorry about it, but I just really don't want to get in trouble with publicists just because they're thinking that I'm revealing spoilers early, even though low-key, high-key, I felt like a lot of the print reviews of the entire season when the press embargo first lifted were sharing more than I would have thought was acceptable.
That's the tea, sis.
If all you want to know is whether or not I like the episode, yeah, I do. But I like all of the episodes, and I like how the story builds over the course of the entire season. I feel like I've already established that in my previous reviews, but for all I know, this is the first video of me that you're watching. One thing I will say is that there is a line in this episode from one of the characters that made my jaw drop when I rewatched this episode because it is foreshadowing something that happens later in the season. I really need to start keeping a list of all the foreshadowing that keeps happening in this show, so that way I will be able to point these things out to you once they actually happen, and then I will be able to, at that point, go back and say, remember in episode number blah 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 when that character said that? Well, the writers were building up to this thing that you just saw happen. Their minds. They're so powerful.
The power that has, the intelligence that has.
On a technical level, I really appreciate that they've been so efficient with their storytelling because it shows me that these writers know right from the beginning, these are the big moments that we are going to hit later on in the season, so they start dropping breadcrumbs early. I think there were 3 things that I took note of when rewatching the season 2 premiere of different incidents that I'm going to need to come back and tell all of you about once they happen in later episodes, and now there's yet another one in episode 4. You know what? I actually am going to write them all down, so I promise whenever those episodes air, I will point them out to you in my spoiler reviews, so that's something for you to perhaps look forward to. I'm going to keep this review short, but we're going to have a lot to talk about in the spoiler review that I will be posting next week, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, feel free to like and comment since engagement is essential. If you want to dig into the things that have happened in the season 2 premiere, we can totally geek out about it. I'm more than willing to talk about it. Hopefully my energy wasn't too weird, but I'm really distracted right now because at the time of me filming this video, I'm thinking about the fact that I'm going to go meet a cat tomorrow that I might be adopting, so maybe I'll show them on my channel. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. You can also follow me on my social media accounts. Everything is in the description box, and I will see you in my next review. Bye!